Welcome. I'm Secretary of State John Thurston. As caretaker of the Arkansas State Capitol, it is my honor and privilege to oversee the building's day-to-day care and restoration projects. The Capitol was built to be a lasting symbol of the state, and like my predecessors, I am responsible for making sure that it fulfills this destiny. The story of the Capitol is one full of drama, political intrigue, and perseverance. More than once, the project was threatened with failure, but the idea was bigger than its opponents. Its enduring place in the heart of Arkansas reflects the resolve and determination of the Capitol's first champions, Governors Daniel Jones and George Donaghy, and its architects, George Mann and Cass Gilbert. They built forever. Their legacy is now ours to enjoy and preserve.
Construction of the Arkansas State Capitol began in 1899. It took over 15 years, 2 architects, 6 Capitol commissions, 3 governors, and a handful of acting ones, the labor of hundreds of convicts and free craftsmen, plus a bit over $2 million to bring the project to successful completion. The Capitol is a monumental neoclassical structure, some 440 feet long and about 195 feet wide. Its exterior walls are made of a native limestone quarried near Batesville, while the dome is clad in a slightly softer Indiana limestone. 213 feet separate the gold-leafed tip of the cupola from the ground level. The neoclassical style combines elements of the 3 great architectural orders of antiquity, Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian. This style was commonly chosen for public buildings of the 19th and 20th centuries. Other examples include the Minnesota and Mississippi state capitals, as well as the federal capitol in Washington, D.C. Capitals are generally intended to accommodate at least the upper levels of all parts of state government, and ours is no exception. When it was completed, it was home to all of the state's constitutional officers, as well as both chambers of the state legislature and the state Supreme Court. Today, 6 of our 7 officers are based here, as well as the state legislature. The court deliberates in its own building located nearby. More than 300 employees of the executive and legislative branches work in the Capitol year-round. Hundreds of others labor in the office buildings scattered over the nearly 70 acres of the Capitol complex. The Capitol is set in a mature landscape dotted with dozens of species of trees, native and exotic, rose and iris beds, and other ornamental plants. Its site was once a prison yard. Today, it is a green Eden. The Capitol grounds are also a place of memory and reflection. Monuments commemorate Arkansans' military service, salute fallen law officers and firefighters, and keep memories alive of both a national celebration and a landmark episode in the nation's progress toward racial equality. The Capitol was designed by Missouri-based architect George Mann. His work was modified and completed by Cass Gilbert. The Capitol was completed in 1915, but became the seat of government in 1911, when the legislature first met in the unfinished building. In the decades that followed, successive waves of remodeling and redecorating changed its appearance, especially that of the interior. More recently, though, funding from the legislature and from the Arkansas Natural and Cultural Resources Commission has supported projects returning the Capitol to its historic majesty while preserving and improving its functional qualities. The Governor's Reception Room, located on the north end of the 2nd floor, is a room meant to impress. It's the Governor's dedicated venue for meetings, press conferences, and other events. Initially an exercise in coffered ceilings, mirrors, and floral plaster, the room was redesigned by Cass Gilbert in the American Craftsman style, relying on elegant proportions, rich materials, and restrained details to make an impression. In 2000, the room was restored to approximate its 1915 appearance. Original furnishings include the silver plate lighting fixtures, fireplaces, and the oak paneling. Other decorative elements, including the recreation of the original decorative painting, help recreate the room's early look. The fireplaces are crafted of the same Batesville limestone as the Capitol's exterior walls, with highly figured Italian Fiore di Pesco, or peach blossom, marble face panels. The mantel and its supports feature carvings executed in 1910 by a New Orleans stone studio. The faces on the mantel supports honor the first settlers of Arkansas, Native Americans and Europeans alike. The reception room features 2 portraits. Over the east fireplace hangs the official portrait of the most recent serving past governor. These portraits are paid for by the former governor's friends and families and are presented to the state for display in the Capitol. The portrait over the west fireplace, however, is a constant. It honors George Donaghy, the first governor to keep his office in the Capitol. Donaghy served on the first Capitol Commission and as governor from 1909 until 1913. He vigorously propelled the Capitol project forward. His portrait permanently occupies this place of honor in recognition of his crucial role in seeing the Capitol completed. In the center of the room is another memento of George Donaghy. The table is crafted of solid walnut. It was a gift to the Capitol and the state from Governor Donaghy. The wood came from a tree planted by his father on their family farm in Conway, Arkansas. Donaghy had wood from the tree made into a table that was presented to the state in 1935 for the commemoration of the state's upcoming 100th birthday. The majestic second-floor rotunda is the heart of the Capitol. It was meant to be the room visitors would first see when entering the Capitol after mounting the east steps and walking through the bronze entry doors. Today, most enter via the ground floor, but the rotunda remains lively. Many public events take place here, including press conferences, special exhibits, and holiday activities. The rotunda is clad in Vermont marble. It is surmounted by a decorative plaster inner dome. On four sides, galleries and balconies offer spectacular views of the space. They are flanked by columns of Colorado marble installed in 1914 to replace earlier masonry columns covered by scagliola, or imitation marble. The inner dome was initially decorated by Fayetteville artist Paul Martin Heerwagen. Heerwagen was a master of decorative finishes. His scheme employed multiple subtle shades, overglazes, gold leaf, and even a marbleized accent course to give the dome richness and an enhanced dimensional quality. Over the years, Heerwagen's work was obscured by multiple simple repaintings, but in 2013 a complete restoration let his true colors shine forth once more. The elegant simplicity of the rotunda is accented by several distinctive pieces of jewelry, one above it and 6 others to one side. The grand chandelier, suspended from the central dome over the rotunda by an iron chain, is 12 feet in diameter, 16 feet tall, and weighs nearly 2 tons. Like most of the Capitol's original lighting fixtures, it was a product of the Mitchell Vance Company of New York. Its twin illuminates the rotunda of Utah's Capitol. The chandelier is raised and lowered for service by an electric chain hoist, which can bring this elegant ornament to the first floor level in about 7 minutes. On the east side of the rotunda are found 6 bronze doors, intended as the Capitol's main public entrances, adornment for both the interior and exterior. They were designed by architect Cass Gilbert and were fabricated for the Capitol by the Tiffany Studios of New York. Each door, made of thick bronze plates assembled on a heavy iron frame, measures about 4 inches thick by 10 feet tall and weighs a little over 1,300 pounds. The price on delivery in 1910 was a steep $10,000. Today's estimated value? Priceless. In 1912, the Arkansas Supreme Court moved into their just-completed quarters in the new Capitol. This room housed our state's highest court from 1912 until 1958. When the court moved into the new Justice Building on the Capitol grounds, the chamber became a legislative committee and meeting room. Its appearance changed over time, as the original decorating scheme was obscured by layers of new paint and modern office furniture. In 1999 and 2000, the old Supreme Court room was restored to its early appearance. Many of the room's original features were retained, including the justices' chairs, the painted pine bench, the mahogany rail, the light fixtures, and its brass handrails. Carefully researched reproduction furnishings add to the room's utility while retaining its historic appearance. The courtroom was designed by Cass Gilbert in the Doric style, the earliest and simplest of the classical architectural orders. Along the walls and the false beams connecting the room's columns, plaster friezes exhibit the characteristic Doric pattern of triglyphs separated by spaces known as metope. Each metope contains a symbol selected by Gilbert. The green metope display unornamented shields. The bluish-gray metope bear a shield design containing an intertwined dolphin and an anchor. The terracotta, or pinkish metope, feature a classical oil lamp. These are believed to have been chosen to recall elements or attributes of justice and the law. The oil lamp stands for enlightenment or wisdom, while the plain shield embodies protection. The dolphin and anchor design is a traditional visual form of the Roman proverb festina lente, make haste slowly, a good reminder that justice should be both timely and sure. Arkansas's laws are made by a two-chambered legislature made up of 135 members, 35 in the state Senate and 100 in the state House of Representatives. This is a part-time body. It meets for at least 60 calendar days in odd-numbered years to conduct its general business, and for 45 days in even-numbered years to deal with fiscal matters, in short, the budget. The Senate chamber is located on the south end of the Capitol's third floor and was first occupied in January 1911. During that session and the next, the skylights were clear frosted glass, but in 1913 the legislature appropriated money to install the stained glass panels you see today. The stained glass both added beauty and softened the sun's glare, but the room was beset with other problems. Very lively acoustics. In the 1920s, heavy drapes were attached to the skylight ribs in an effort to tame the echoes. Their replacements are visible in today's chamber. In 2001, the Senate chamber was restored to approximate its early appearance. Fabric-covered acoustic panels were removed from the walls, revealing long-obscured marble wainscots. New curved desks closely mimicked the long-gone originals designed by Cass Gilbert. Exhaustive paint analysis revealed the early decorative scheme, which was recreated by a team of artists. The Senate's Mitchell Vance chandelier was burnished bright, and new wall fixtures closely matched long-removed originals. Above the Senate floor, the public galleries were refurnished to provide comfortable perches for session watchers. More recently, the Senate's stained glass has been cleaned and repaired, while the outer greenhouse, protecting the skylight from the elements, has been overhauled and weatherproofed. Walking between Senate and House chambers on the third floor offers visitors a good opportunity to examine the respective chambers' composite portraits. These record the faces of the men and women who've served in the State Assembly, as well as those of key staff members. Like the building itself, the portraits are subject to deterioration. Digital restorations ensure that Capitol visitors will be able to stand face to face with these generations of public servants for many years to come. Composite portraits line the galleries flanking the grand staircases leading from the rotunda to the House and Senate chambers. The staircases themselves are made of Alabama marble. Above them, at each end, stand fluted marble columns made of the same Colorado stone as those seen in the upper reaches of the rotunda. The galleries feature marble wainscots, and above the marble, painted plaster. These surfaces were originally decorated under the supervision of Paul Martin Heerwagen, with carefully chosen colors and glazes complemented by lining, giving the panels the semblance of dimensional depth. Early repaints obscured this vision, but extensive restoration in 2014 and 2015 recreated Heerwagen's design. Above the House and Senate stairways, glass barrel vaults bring sunlight to the doors of the legislative chambers. At each end of the skylights, semicircular niches or lunettes feature murals, the only artwork commissioned for the Capitol during its construction. The murals, painted in oil on canvas, were the product of Paul Martin Heerwagen's studio. They were installed in late 1914 as the building neared completion. The murals above the Senate's grand staircase represent education and justice. Above the House staircase, war and religion face off. Each of the Capitol's murals has been restored at least once. The House of Representatives is located on the north end of the third floor. There are 100 members of the House, 99 of them occupy places on the floor. The Speaker, or leader of the House, is the 100th representative, elected to this position by the other 99. The Speaker occupies one chair on the top level of the rostrum in the front of the chamber. The chair beside the Speaker is reserved for the House parliamentarian, who serves as the Speaker's assistant and knows the parliamentary rules of procedure. The lower level of the rostrum is reserved for the clerks of the House. The space directly in front of the rostrum is known as the well of the House. In it stands a solitary lectern to which legislators come forward to present a bill or to speak for or against proposed measures. Original architectural elements of this chamber include the central Mitchell Vance chandelier and the scagliola, or imitation marble, columns that encircle the room. The columns were extensively restored in 2009. At the same time, testing revealed that the simplified Corinthian column capitals had been originally clad in 23-karat gold leaf. New leaf was applied, creating a distinctive bright accent for the room. Since then, a more general renovation of the room has recreated much of its early appearance. Its stained glass skylight has been cleaned and restored, and the acoustic drapes removed, giving the room a bright, more spacious feel. Large, high-intensity recessed lights in the plaster ceiling have been replaced by smaller, less visually intrusive units. Subtle backlighting accentuates the raised fleur-de-lis frieze beneath the skylight. Paint sampling revealed both the chamber's 1911 color scheme and later additions presumed to have been applied by Paul Martin Heerwagen. Vintage-style auditorium seats make the public galleries inviting places from which to observe the house in action below. The Capitol's fourth floor offers public access to House and Senate public galleries. It also contains early legislative composite portraits and an assortment of long-term displays that interpret Arkansas's state symbols, salute our veterans, and survey Arkansas's population history. On the third floor, Building Forever tells the story of the Capitol's construction and of its first century of service as the seat of Arkansas state government. Display cases on the first floor offer a changing roster of exhibits highlighting aspects of Arkansas's long history and its rich cultural and natural heritage. On the lower level, galleries present the work of the Capitol's photographers, past and present.
I hope that you have enjoyed this brief introduction to the Arkansas Capitol. It has been our pleasure to prepare it for you, but there is no substitute for visiting the Capitol, absorbing a sense of its graceful spaces and elegant proportions. The architects and workmen of more than a century ago thought that they were building a suitable home for Arkansas state government, but they created something more, an architectural gem, a proper symbol for a state with great things in store. I am proud of the work we do, day in and day out, to preserve the people's house. Depending on the day, it can be an office building, a meeting place, a site for demonstrations, a tourist destination, or all of these at once. It is a place greater than the sum of its parts, and it is yours to enjoy.